So we talk a lot about data privacy, right? But usually, it's all about big laws and splashy headlines. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the unseen world of privacy operations, the actual hands-on work of the people inside a company who are tasked with protecting your data. Think about it, we're always hearing about new regulations, but a law getting passed isn't the finish line, not even close. For companies, that's just the starting gun. The really hard, complex work kicks off the very next day. So, what does that actually look like on the ground? This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sums up the problem. There's this massive gap between having privacy in your job title and actually having the skills to do the job. It's kind of like knowing all the rules of the road, but you have no idea how to build a car, let alone drive it. And that brings us right to our first section, the privacy operations gap. This is all about the huge difference between privacy on paper and what privacy looks like in practice. Okay, so on the left, you've got the theory, like reading the legal text of GDPR. Super important, for sure. But then on the right, you've got reality. What do you actually do when a data breach happens? You might know the textbook definition of consent, but can you build a website banner that captures it correctly and logs it in a way that satisfies an auditor? See the difference? It's being a spectator versus being an operator. So who are these people doing this work? Well, we call them privacy operators. I like to think of them as the engineers running the privacy engine of a company. They take the blueprint, that's the legal regulation, and they build the real-world day-to-day systems that make data protection actually happen. Which leads us right to their playbook. What are the actual tools and tasks these operators are using every single day to keep that engine humming along? Okay, the absolute heart of their job is something called data flow mapping. It makes sense, right? You can't protect data if you don't even know where it is or where it's going. So this is literally the process of creating a map that tracks the entire life of a single piece of your personal data inside a company. And this shows you the key stops on that journey. From the second it's collected, like when you sign up for a newsletter, to how it's processed, where it's stored, if it gets transferred to some third-party tool, and then finally, how it gets securely deleted. Mapping this whole life cycle out is absolutely foundational. But let's be real. For a lot of companies, the biggest test of their privacy program is when something goes wrong. This is where privacy operations suddenly become very visible and very, very important. So what happens when there's an incident? It's not about panicking, it's about following a process. First, they have to figure out that an incident has even happened. Then, triage. How bad is it? Who's affected? Step 3 is all about containment. Stop the bleeding and respond. And then crucially, step 4 is documenting everything and learning from it so it doesn't happen again. This isn't abstract stuff. This is a real-world checklist when the pressure is intense. But their job isn't just about fighting fires. The day-to-day is packed with critical tasks, like handling legal agreements with vendors, constantly collaborating with cybersecurity and legal teams, and, of course, answering your requests to see or delete your own data. It's a constant operational grind. Now, just imagine doing all of that for just one law. It's already tough, but in the real world, these operators have to navigate a super complex and often contradictory web of global data laws. And here's the key thing to remember. There is no single global rulebook for this stuff. A company that operates worldwide has to deal with this crazy patchwork of regulations, and each one has its own definitions and requirements. For an operator, it's like a massive high-stakes puzzle. This table is a great little snapshot. Just look at GDPR in Europe versus CCPA in California. They apply to different people. They even define personal data differently. CCPA includes data linked to a whole household, which is a huge deal for companies. And the main rights they give people are also different. An operator has to know all these little nuances inside and out. And here's the kind of real-world headache they face every single day. Does GDPR apply because she's an EU citizen, or does CCPA apply because she's in California, or maybe both? The answer is complicated, and if you get it wrong, the consequences are major. These are the practical challenges these operators have to solve. So what does it actually look like to build a career in this field? Let's take a quick look at the professional journey of a privacy operator. The path usually starts at the analyst level, doing that really foundational work we talked about, like data flow mapping.
From there, a lot of folks become consultants, where they use their expertise to help a bunch of different organizations. And then at the top, you've got roles like the Data Protection Officer, or DPO, who's in charge of the entire privacy strategy for a huge company.
To really be considered privacy literate today, you need a very specific set of tools. It's not just about knowing the law anymore. You need the technical skill of data flow analysis, the crisis management know-how for incident response, and the practical ability to handle legal documents like data protection agreements or DPAs. It's a truly multi-talented field.
Okay, let's wrap this up by tying it all together. Let's talk about why this quiet, behind-the-scenes operational work is so unbelievably important.
I wanted to circle back to this quote from our source because it just perfectly captures the whole point. This isn't some theoretical debate happening in a classroom. This is the active, continuous, real-world work of making our digital rights a reality. It really is privacy in motion. And this is why it matters to you personally. Every single time you use an app or buy something online, there is, or at least there should be, a privacy operator on the other side working to make sure your information is handled the right way. They are the guardians of your data's journey. So the next time you click that I agree button, just take a second and think about this. Your data is about to go on a long, complicated journey through countless different systems. The real question is, who's navigating? And now you know. It's the privacy operators, the unsung heroes trying to get it there safely.